Okay, hello everyone. Another episode of Natives Podcast. I'm here with Bob Thornton, a special guest today. They're all special, but this one is a friend for, I guess, I was friends with his dad, so that says how old I am. So I'll tell you what, his name is Aron Dames, but I'll tell you what, Black Jesus, Bo Diddley, Santa Claus. We got a lot of names, and he does a lot of things, and he's an amazing individual, and I just can't wait to hear his story because it's going to bring up a lot of memories for me. So I can't wait to get to it. Thank you, Bob.
All right, Aron, welcome. It's nice to have you here, and I was hoping maybe you could start by sharing about where you were born, your childhood, your family, schooling, and what life was like for early Aron.
Well, I was born here in Hobe Sound, Mark Memorial. Never lived anywhere else. Born in 1962. And I came up over in the Dunbar area, right around the corner. My father always had trucks and, entrepreneurial. I never seen him have a job, per se, working for somebody. He always, had his own company, own trucks and all that stuff. And that motivated me to try to do the same. And I pretty much duplicated that of, being self-employed from day one. So I haven't had a bunch of jobs. I've been one time. I had a job at JD State Park when I was in high school. They used to give kids jobs during the summer. Right. So I worked down there for a little while, and that was pretty exciting to see wild animals. Because that ain't a whole lot that black kids get to see. See different things. Yeah, I see deer run across the road and stuff of that nature. But I'm right here, born and raised, and graduated from Martin County High School in 1981. Played on the basketball team, started every year. I was a point guard, Back in the day, my name was Bo Dames, and at 5'9", I was probably one of the only kids that could dunk at 5'9".
Good for you.
Yeah, I was pretty popular, always been popular, but...
Still are.
Yeah.
How was school work for you? How did you do in classes?
I wasn't very smart on that, reading and writing and stuff like that, but math, I was a genius, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just like today, I tell my office to add that up, and then 9 times out of 10, by the time they get through with it with the calculator, I'll be done told them what it is or whatever, And I go around to this day. I don't carry a pen. I don't carry a piece of paper, nothing. I know every job. I know where everybody at. I know who everybody owed me. I know everything. And at one time, I used to have 25 trucks and 35 employees. Knew all of them name, knew where they was at, knew every truck, So I was blessed with that memory. My mom died of Alzheimer's, so I always said, and my dad died of a heart attack, so I was just kind of one of them kids I don't know which way I'm going to go, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of concentrate on being healthy. I do everything I can to stay healthy. My dad, when he passed, he was I think he was 700 pounds.
Wow.
He was huge.
Yeah, he was huge, 700 pounds. They had to it's funny, they had to take 3 or 4 caskets, and ship them back because he couldn't fit in them, and they had to ship them back and forth. It was crazy. And it actually took 6 of us couldn't carry him. We actually had 8 or 9. Everybody was, close together trying to carry that casket to the grave. But, he was a fascinating man, 3rd grade education. He left home when he was 12 years old. My dad left his family when he was 12 and went out and never came back. To think of that, that's pretty impressive, My dad's personal friend was Jane Brown and B.B. King. Every year, B.B. King used to send my dad a Christmas card.
How did he connect with B.B. King?
Over in Pahokee, they used to travel back and forth. It was a sharecropper's town, You do here, you pick cane, you do whatever, peas, whatever they picked in the Pahokee. And then when the season's over, they all got in the back of a truck, rode in the back of a truck, and he'd take them to North Carolina. And that's how my dad started his business. He used to drive people in the back of a truck. You can't do that nowadays.
No.
Yeah, he used to drive them different places. And that's how he ran into, B.B. King, he used to have a band. He used to be right around town. He used to call him Big Joe Dynamite and the Blues Boys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he loved his instrument, and he was a very fascinating man.
It's funny. My dad, who would tell you he was the dumbest guy in the world, when he was going through school, and he graduated 8th grade and went and worked in the shipyards in the Bronx, building the USS Missouri. 16 and a half, he went and fought in World War II. My grandmother couldn't wait to sign the paper, but when they talked to him and said, "You need more schooling," just like you, he said, I know my math and I can count money. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's what I tell you. A fascinating story. My driver, he's passed away now. Great guy. His name was Frank. I used to dispatch when the dispatcher go to lunch. So I was sitting there one day, and I handed him a piece of paper that to go do a call. And he looked at me. He's like, "What does this spell?" I say, "Fiat." He's like, "That's not how you spell fiat." I was like, "Oh, I don't know." So it was very funny. He was like, "You mean to tell me you're a millionaire, you got all this stuff, and you can't spell fiat?" I'm quick on my feet. I say, "You know what?" I said, "Can you spell fiat?" He said, "Yeah." So he spelled it. I don't know if it was right or not, but he spelled it. I said, "You mean to tell me you ain't got a damn thing you can spell fiat?" Oh, we laugh about that to this day. So, I mean, the moral of the story is, spelling fiat don't get you, but I work hard 7 days a week, and been doing it, and, still do it to this day,
And you bring up a great point. A lot of times in school, at least when I was in school, and I get to work with a lot of younger people that are in school, and they'll say, "Well, Aron, you're great at math, but you're really bad at English, so we're going to force English down your throat, and you're going to work on English." And you would be stuck doing English, doing a poor job of it, while the world passed you by, and you never accomplished what you did. So if you're out there, concentrate on what you're good at, what your gift is, and don't worry about the rest. I bet you can hire someone who's good at English.
That's what I'm saying.
And they can write your life story.
Yeah, it's just like I think I heard the thing where Henry Ford said, he was saying something about they was wanting to sue him or something because he couldn't do this. He said, "Give me a telephone in 5 minutes, I can get any answer you want. I can hire somebody to tell us and go from there." So that's the kind of guy I am, and I'm the only guy that in my company, and I tell them that I could do everything. I can do the bookkeeping, I can take the calls, I can do the calls, what I'm saying? I could bid the jobs, I could, and right
run
now,
the equipment.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I try to tell them, you want to come and be, make more money here, be able to do more things. Don't come here and just be a laborer. Don't come in and just say, "Oh, I can run a bobcat." Well, I got trucks. I got, I got excavators. I got, roll-off containers. So, be able to try to do everything, and that's where you increase your pay, by being able to do everything, a lot of things.
And
so you worked at Jonathan Dickinson in high school, and then you played sports all the way through. You were a standout. You graduated high school. Did you start right off on your own?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I had a couple scholarships, and I was like, I'm done with school. I don't want to go nowhere. I just wanted to start working. And I used to hang around my dad a lot, and I bought me a grading tractor. Matter of fact, Harry's son used it the other day, and it used to be called Aron's Grading. And I was like 19 years old, and I had my own company running around Bob Cantrell back in the day or whatever. And them guys used to call me, and I've always been good on it, whatever. And then, I lost my license. I used to have fast cars, always something fast, So I lost my license to habitual traffic offender, and that's how I started Aron's Towing. It was 5 years you lose your license. So 1 year you can't drive at all. So that 1 year I had to just get carried around or whatever. But the 4 years, it's like a hardship license. So I was thinking like, what can I do to be able to drive and be able to, keep driving or whatever. So I thought about a taxi cab, and I thought about a tow company. Well, we obviously see which one I made, So that is actually how Aron's Towing came to life.
No kidding.
I didn't have any license, went to Miami, took $1,500, and I didn't have good credit. My wife at that time was Lisa. She had good credit. She used to work at American Pioneer. And the guy gave us a loan. I went down and got the truck, and the rest was, history.
So you're living proof that necessity is the mother of invention.
Oh, yeah.
You were handcuffed on what you could do, so you thought outside the box.
I thought outside the box.
And when you started your career at 19 years old, did you know everything?
No.
So you had to figure it out as you went along.
Yeah, to figure it out. But I was a person people. I was very, I tell people that you could take me anywhere. I don't care where. And long as the rule is, you can't touch me, you get to know me or whatever. And by the time you come back, I be done mixed in with them, and they like, "Hey man, this guy ain't got to go nowhere," or whatever, this and that, Just give me the opportunity to show you, that I get along with anybody, everybody, and I think that's one of my biggest things that I have going for me, just to be able to, there's not one person in this world, and I mean this, there's not one person in this world that I don't like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care, you know. I don't carry nothing. My guys, they like, you know, me and the guy could be arguing. I mean, almost to the point of getting ready to fire him. And, you know, when I'm done with it, you know, 30 minutes later, whatever, I say, hey, go do that call. You know, he's still mad. I'm like, what are you still mad for? You know, that was 20 minutes ago, guys. Let's go, you know. So that's one of my, you know, big things too, that, you know, I don't carry nothing, you know.
That's
Yeah.
I was just reading about the Wright brothers as they worked together to create the first flying aircraft, and they were against huge corporations. They had no money. They were all chipping in the neighborhood, working together. But the brothers would fight, not physically, but they would fight tooth and nail to defend their idea. But they went for propellers, and one brother said Orville said it should be this way. No, it should be that way. And they fought for days and days from dawn till dusk. And finally, it looked like the sister stepped in and said, you guys are going to destroy everything you have. And they said, why? We're just trying to state our case. And the next day they got together and they realized they were both wrong and they each had half of it right. They put their ideas together. So it sounds like you're the same type of guy.
Yeah. You have to, you know, look at things and move forward and, you know, and just, you know, try to keep pushing, you know. So that's what I believe in.
But when you got the tow truck, though, you would go on every night on 95.
That's right.
And you worked that tow truck in the ground.
In the ground.
And I mean,
Back
you were
in the
just
day.
out there looking for somebody broke down.
Yeah, like to now, you know, you can't solicit. You know, that's big out there. Well, when I first got my tow truck in '89, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of business, so I just got a tow truck. I wasn't known for that. So I used to go out and sleep on 95. I would wake up and look to the north, look to the south, and you see somebody broke down. So you pull up on side and say, hey, can I help you out? You know, they're like, oh yeah, you know, my car broke down, and you know, I want to go to Miami. I want to go to Orlando. You know, so I give them a price. You here? I load up and I go. Well, I tell you how I ended up getting. I used to tow for every tow company, every mechanic shop in Hobe Sound, and how I got that. I started picking up people that, you know, wanted to come to a mechanic shop. So I started off at A1 Auto, Goodyear, right there on Petway, A&M Motors, and then, you know, right across the street was I guess the guy's name was Ray. You know what I'm saying? So I used to just, in Mobile gas station, used to have a mechanic. So I just, boom, I bring them the car, and I say, hey, look, you know, I'm bringing you a car, good faith, whatever you give me. They said, oh, okay, I'll call you next time, you know. And then do that, and I just kept doing that, and they, you know, returned the favor, and that's how I really got big. But Hal's record, I don't know, you remember Hal?
Yep.
It was so funny. I had my truck painted all up nice. You know, I'm one of them guys that everything gonna look nice, you know. So after I got it all painted up, got it lettered, got my business cards, I found him. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what? He's the man around town. So I'm gonna go pay him some respect and, you know, see if I can get in his overflow. He was living up there by Graham Park right now. You know, He used to live there. There was, you know, all kind of junk up in there before they made it, you know, the park where you boat ramp.
Nice. Yeah.
And I walked in there, and he was, you know, outside, you know, and he was, you know, everybody know he's, you know, he liked this beer or whatever, this and that. So I introduced myself to him, and he looked at my truck. He's like, man, this thing is beautiful. This is impressive. He called his wife outside. She come to the door. This on my life. He said, I quit this day, and he gave me all of his business.
Wow.
Went out. So that was another, yeah. So that's how Aron Stone really got started. Hal Recker said, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know, you seem like a good man. You got a nice truck. And he gave me all his calls, and, you know, he pretty much retired at that day, pretty much. And from that point on, you know, I just, you know, just kept going. I always respected him, and, you know, I tell everybody that story, you know, that he was
instrumental.
Yeah.
That's funny. Wow. It puts me in mind when we had Eric Wessel on with Jupiter Island Pools, and he shared the story how he went to what was perceived as a competitor, and he went and introduced himself, and she said, oh, thank goodness you came. And they just started dumping work on him, and you did the exact same thing. And I really like to think of that as thinking outside the box, you know, or as you say, thinking on your feet.
Yeah.
You know, keep moving.
Yeah. Well, me and Eric, you know, until he died, we were real great friends. You know what I'm saying? Our wives worked at the bank together.
Okay.
And then we started going out together. We used to take vacations together, go on cruise ships and go to Key West, everything. So we was like two peas in a pod, you know what I'm saying? And till he passed, you know what I'm saying?
I bet you were picking up the dinner check.
Most of the time, you know, I'm one of them guys that, you know, if you go out with me, you know what I'm saying, it's like, you know, give me the check, I got it, you know what I'm saying. I've always been that guy, and you know, not that I try to be fancy or anything like that. That's just kind of like show my appreciation or show you that, you know.
I think it's more reflective of, hey, if I can do it, I'll do it as long as I can, and if I can't do it, then it's your turn.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's the way to do it.
It's not, you're not pounding your chest or trying to make anybody feel bad.
No. So I used to go to all the parties around town. Me and my wife do all the events and stuff like that. She was a social butterfly. I was a tag along guy, and then after everybody kind of met me, they was like, "Hey man, Aron, cool guy." You know what I mean? So, and that's how I kind of integrated into the system with the locals around town. Other than the African Americans, all of them always knew me, but to get to know a more diverse crowd in the community. So I was.
Well, you have a reputation, because I was at the Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year, which was won by Angie Petway, by the way,
okay.
who is in Lance. Her dad and I are good friends, and
Right.
she absolutely. And I've mentored a lot of kids from there, but she gave the best speech that I've ever heard there.
Wow.
It was absolutely incredible.
That's good.
But and my train just derailed. I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh, you were saying about me being known or popular or something like that.
So I'm at the Boys and Girls Club, and people are coming up, and a couple of the sheriff's deputies came in, and I know him somewhat, and we were talking, and I don't know how, but he said, I hear Black Jesus is going to be on the podcast. And he said, he's a great guy. You're in for a treat.
Yeah.
So there's another feather in your cap.
Yeah, I know all of them. I know the sheriff, Snyder. I got his phone number. The new sheriff got his phone number. Yeah, I got, I'm a guy that, I try to get along with everybody, and a lot of times, and, you just try to be the person that, like Harry sent me something the other day, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you don't know somebody good, be that person or something, you know what I'm saying? And then, try to be, positive. So
Here's another thing that you do. I think somebody put something in a lake, I don't know, where there's a lawnmower or tractor or something, and they called you up and they said, "We want you to come down and take a look at it." You said, "We don't take a look at anything.
Yeah.
We bring everything, and we're bringing it out."
that's right.
It's
We don't
coming
leave
out.
it. Yeah, we don't come to look.
But come to do.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was the line. You don't come to look.
Yeah.
That was it.
We
See,
come to do, and that's true.
I'm a doer.
We don't never leave nothing behind. So I mean, if you need to get it, we make it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's very few things that, if any, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that something rolled over, something in the ditch, something in the whatever this and that. We come to get it. We don't come to look at it and try to make an observation of it. And that's another thing where I think outside the box. I look at something and I like, what, it can be done this way or whatever this and that. And my guys, they just look at me. They're like, "Man, how do you come up with that kind of stuff?" I like, it went in there. You know what I'm saying?
It's got to be able to come out, right?
Yeah.
Everything is figure-outable.
Yeah. I tell my guys a lot of times they get mad at me. Like, we have something to do on the truck or something, whatever this and that, and then I tell them, I say, "Look, most of my company is African American, but I do have some white guys that work for me, and they love me, and it's a good thing. But I go out there and I say, hey, we need to get that done. They're like, "Man, we can't do that." I say, "Where are we gonna send it to?" "Oh, send it to so and so." I say, "Well, you gonna tell me that Ford can do it and we can't?" You know what I'm saying? Another mechanic shop can do it and we can't. They go out there and an hour later they call me, "Hey, we got it done." I know you can get it done. Man, just try.
Don't bring me a problem. Bring me your solution, right?
Yeah, and let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? So that might be a few things that be difficult, but 9 times out of 10 we can get it done.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I've lived by that, and to this day I live by that. Let's get her done.
And I have to say, every time I see one of your trucks, they look awesome.
Oh, I try to make sure of that. Sometimes the weather be bad, and you can get a sloppy driver, but I tell them, "Hey, look, you want your job? You know what I mean? You got to clean that truck. I don't care what it is. One of my greatest compliments was a couple broke down at Indian River Plantation. They was having dinner. And they broke down and they called my company to come tow their car. So it just so happened that night or day, it was like evening, I was in the truck. So I went over and picked them up and got them loaded up and took them home or whatever, this and that. And then, on their way going home, they was like, "Man," they was rode with me. They was like, "You know what? We was going to call our friend or call somebody else because, we, and I dinner outfit or whatever, we thinking getting up in the truck, there's going to be, we're going to get dirty or whatever, this and that, She was like, "But wow, this is amazing. Everything clean, everything, this and that, And then when I told her I was Aron, she like, "Oh my God," you know what I mean? You're like, I was like, "Yeah, I'm him," you know what I mean? And I don't play. You look good, you know what I mean? And a lot of times you do good and people respect that because, I never wanted to be who's going to tow the tow truck. You know what I'm saying? You know, you come there and just some guys trucks be looking like, you know, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to make it, you know. So, you know, I always try to make sure it's up to par and, you know, do professional work and give a person a fair price, you know. And you do that there, you could pretty much make it, you know.
That's why you guys like you.
Yeah.
Because when you're too good for a job, you're no good to anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we had a new kid start one of our installers, and I went to the job, and they were changing a sliding glass door. And while they were out getting the sign, they had already taken it out, and they were out getting the door, and I grabbed the vacuum, and I was vacuuming out all of the crap that was there.
Right.
And the kid came around the corner. He's like, "Oh my gosh, give me that. What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm helping you get ready for the next step." And he goes, "Well, you shouldn't be doing that." And that's exactly what I said to him. I said, "When I'm too good to do something, I'm no good to anyone."
That's
so
right.
good for you,
That's
man.
right. No, I don't.
So you'll still jump in the truck?
Oh yeah. The other day I was in my lowboy. You know, my guys was doing another job and he had an emergency move. My 18-wheeler. I jumped in it. I just had back surgery. Matter of fact, January of last year. And I mean, you know, I feel good and I keep it moving. But I jumped in. They was like, "You gonna get it?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know what I mean? I jumped in there and, you know, went and did the call or whatever, this and that. Loaded the big machine up on that, scrapped it down. You know, no, matter of fact, it was 2 big palm trees at the Tony Tree Service. And the guy put them on there. I had to take him to Fort Pierce, strap them down and whatever. And one of my guys rode with me. And he was like, "Man, you just don't stop." I mean, you know, get her done. You know what I'm saying? That's right.
Use it or lose it.
That's right. Next man up. That, you know, and I believe in that. Next man up. You know.
So is that? Are you 62? 63.
Yeah.
How do you stay fit? Are you with just from your life?
Yeah, basically, you know, I mean, I've always been a guy that liked to work out. You know, I do push-ups. You know, I used to jog and run, swim, or whatever. Go to the gym. So I've always been, you know, just a guy that I never been crazy. Like, you know, guys, 400-500 pounds, all that kind of stuff. You know, just put 200 on there and rep it out, or whatever, this and that. You know, and you know, just do a lot of stuff that you know, I used to like to do a lot of cardio. But you got to figure, if my dad was 600-700 pounds, I come from like a big boned guy. So I always, you know, I don't know how, you know, big forearms, big whatever, you know. So I've always been kind of solid. And I just had to work on, you know, keeping it, you know.
And diet.
Yeah.
Just watching what you're.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. Watching what you
I wouldn't guess that you were 63.
Yeah.
He said enviously.
Yeah. Born in 1962. He's 64 this year, actually. And I tell people that, they're like, "What?" You know, and I'm like, "Hey, look, you know." And, you know, do I feel it? I don't know. I don't know what 63, 64 feel like, but, you know, I know I just keep going.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's
keep going.
That's it. It was my dad's greatest claim was, you know, use it or lose it. And he worked full time for Teledyne as a tool and die maker until he was 93.
Oh, wow.
So he set the bar for us pretty high.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And what would you do if you weren't working, or would you always be working?
I would work till I physically can't or die. Even if I, you know, I mean, like right now, I have my nephew and most of my boys work for me. So, you know, I get up every morning and go to the jobs. I jump on the Bobcat, I do things or whatever, go to the shop and, you know, make sure everything's okay or whatever. So, I mean, I can't sit around. That's not something that I can do, you know. I mean, I used to play golf, but, you know, like I say, once I get my back right, you know, that's something that I can do every now and then. But I was never crazy about, you know, doing anything else other than that, you know. So I used to play, like I say, when I started playing golf, I, like everybody else, hit the ball everywhere or whatever. And on the back of my tow truck, I used to have the 19th hole on the back of it. You know, I had a hole put there and the guy swinging the ball to it, whatever. And when I wasn't busy, I used to go to Martin County Golf Course and practice. And I actually got down to be a 10 handicap.
Wow.
Yeah, my best score ever was a 78, you know. And everybody, wow, you know, so. But I'm one of them guys that if I get into something, I'm going to be close to the best that I can or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I don't just go out there just to do it, you know what I'm saying?
No, I think we could all feel that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, so, you know.
So what's your true north? What is it that keeps you together and keeps that positive attitude and that, I mean, is it faith? Is it?
Well, I mean, yeah, faith and, you know, I mean, I've always been a ladies' man, you know what I'm saying? Which I might not be the best thing to say, but I know that if you don't, two things you don't have you lose yourself. And one is finance, and then the other is good looks. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever this and that. So I always felt like if I stayed looking good, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I had a little bit of money in my pocket. You know, I was ahead of the game.
fishing was better.
Yeah, so much better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so you could have a lot of things that most of the guys couldn't have. You know, so and that was my. I'm gonna tell you the truth. That was my motivation just to stay looking good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I didn't drink or smoke or do nothing like that. I was one of them guys that all I drank was water. You know what I'm saying? I mean, milk or whatever. And then girls just be like, never smoked in my life. Girls are like, oh my God, I didn't never meet a guy like this or whatever, this and that. So you just kind of, and that's the truth. That's one of the things that kept me motivated to keep looking good. I was married for 30 years, but I used to tell people I was married for 30 years, but if you really look at it, I was probably married for 5. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because it was always something back and forth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was probably 5 good years in the 30-year marriage. It really was. So I always thought that I was going to be going somewhere else. Now I am divorced. So I lived my life like I was going to be single any day. And, and it was crazy. I used to say this: at 50, I'm getting divorced. I used to tell my wife that, my ex-wife now. I said, at 50, I'm getting divorced, and they'd be yeah. Well. It took me 6 years to get a divorce, so take that off of that. So it's like 56, 57, and I'm divorced. But I don't know why I used to do that, but they say words are powerful or whatever, this and that. But I used to always say, at 50 years old, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because, this is, I can't do this, And I actually, got a divorce and, moved on with my life. And hopefully, she has too. And life is great now. Great. Well, some people say, "Oh, I'm sorry," when they tell you, "Hey, don't tell me that." You know what I'm saying? I mean, my life is, actually, it's better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because when you're dealing with somebody that, I heard Harold saying about how much his wife supported him, but when you have a wife that, if you think let's go left and she say no, I want to go right. You sitting there. With nowadays, with you being married or whatever, this and that, you just stuck in the middle of the road, So I can say that being with my wife, ex-wife now, but being with her, where we at now, could I have been worse? But I probably could have been double. You know what I'm saying? Or even more, because she was one of them people that she just she didn't believe in really going out and really making it. She's conservative. You know what I'm saying? And keep everything. Be able to look at the checkbook and make sure whatever this and that. I was like, hey, look at him, man. I'm balls to the wall. You know what I'm saying? And you listen to some of the stories, Elon Musk and all those guys, they was mortgaged to the hilt, but you just grind, and make it happen. That's the kind of person I was. Never had nothing repossessed, never had nothing, taken from me or whatever this and that. I was just one of them guys that, you tell me what it is, I'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's, and that another thing, when my wife signed for that truck in 1989, she never had to sign again. To the day we divorced, she never, on the house, personal house or whatever, but I never needed her again to go with me. I got my credit up and I maintained a business, never had a government loan, you know what I'm saying? Never had, all that stuff. Well, I did get some COVID money, but that was like, hell, ain't no sense of leaving that sitting there on the table. But other than that, a lot of people like, oh, you started out with a small business loan? No, I never seen an income tax check, never seen a welfare check, never seen food stamps, never. In my life, you know what I'm saying? Have, ever, had to do nothing with none of that, I just one of them guys that, let the government take care of whoever, I'll take care of me, and I did that. I'll take care of me to the end, anybody that needs it, they can have it, but I didn't need it.
It wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And I was going to make sure of that.
My ex-wife used to describe me while we were married to other people, and she said, well, being with Bob, and you might be able to identify with this, because we were very different.
Right.
And she said, being with Bob is a lot like riding on the back of a tiger. It's really fun. It's really exciting. It's really scary, but you just don't know how to get off without being devoured.
Yeah.
So we're all wired different.
Yeah.
And one isn't right and one isn't wrong.
Right, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Just like building a team, right? Yeah. You find people that are good at what you're not. You're good at the math end of it. You can find the people who can communicate the
Well,
letters.
she ran the office. She stayed on top of the money. I made it. I brought it in, and she distributed it out. She made sure the bills was paid and all that. And I just was a money maker. I just made money. And I was always motivated by making money. People look at it now like, oh, you just did. Well, hey, you work at Walmart. You got this. You got that. I live on 5 acres. I got so and I bust my butt to get it. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. I never. I never got a loan from my family. I never got, whatever. I got the knowledge from my dad, And my mom was a nurse, and she was a great lady, I never hardly see her because she used to do one of them deals where she worked from 7 to 7 and she had a partner work from 7 to 7. She always had the night shift. And her and this lady worked together for about 20, 30 years, And I come home, dinner be ready, whatever. She gone. And then my dad so I was pretty much raised with my dad, and I, that's where I get a lot of that from. All my siblings are, pretty successful. All of them got their own home. They're doing good in life. Nurses and my brother do kind of the same thing I do. So it's one of them things that you just get out there and just bust your butt. A girl the other day was telling me that my dad, they used to call him Killer. Like what's called it's Joe Dames.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yep.
Oh no, but,
CB handle.
Yeah, CB handle.
Okay.
That's Killer Diller was his CB handle. So instead of saying Killer Diller, they just say Killer. You know what I'm saying? And everybody knew him. Very kind man. Never went to jail. Never did nothing. He was just the nicest guy you could ever meet. And girl said to me the other day, you know what? Your dad taught y'all well. You know what I'm saying? As a family. You know what I'm saying? And he did. When you turn 15 years old, you got a car. As soon as you turn 15, got your restricts, you got a car.
Wow.
So I was young, had cars, had this, everything. So it was pretty, pretty nice as growing up. I never seen the lights off, like some people be like, the refrigerator, no, never seen that, never, I know there's people that, struggled and went through that, but, my dad, he was one of them guys that made it happen, so I always felt like, I'm going to be that same guy. I'm going to make it happen.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And he did hustle.
Yeah,
he did hustle.
He used to sit out front. He used to sit out front and sell watermelons out there for years, And I to this day I couldn't figure out. Harry, he get a watermelon, he'll thump it, thump. Oh, this is a good one. This is a sweet one, and you take it, and it's good.
It was every time.
Yeah, like how the heck do you know that? Whatever this and that. Just well, like I said, he came from out there in Pahokee, and he came up in that industry, so. I don't know. That was a gift for the gab there, man. Just to be able to do that, and and I had my his grandson used to be helping him, and they had a good little thing going, the grandson was his wheels, because he was like say 600-700 pounds. He was gonna be getting up, getting down, getting up. Go get that. He go get it and go. What I'm saying? He was known around town. Everybody used to laugh. They used to not come down our street because if you come down our street, my dad was gonna call you and come here and do something. What I'm saying? So everybody go to bed. What I'm saying? But they ain't coming down our street because he gonna put
if
to
they
the work.
saw him, they were going the long way.
He was gonna put to the work. You gonna do something for him. You know what I'm saying? And to this day, everybody laugh and talk about it. And it's one of them things like, let's say like Bill Belichick got, understudies that came up under him like a tree.
Yep.
Man, my dad, if we think of the tree, we was talking about that the other day. Me and my brother, my nephews and now they're doing things, whatever, guys that got, it's probably right in this town, 50 people right now to this day that got their business and doing what they're doing off the offspring of my dad. At least,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was that kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? And they pay homage, you know what I'm saying? When he had his funeral back down the back street, standing room on. You couldn't even get in there, you know what I'm saying? It's just people came from all over or whatever. And I remember one time me and my sister, we went to a James Brown concert. And after the concert was over, she was like, want to go backstage and whatever. And she told the guy that, hey, tell him I'm Joe Dames' daughter, whatever. We went in back, and that was so cool at Palm Beach Auditorium. And after the concert was over, he invited us in. And, oh, man, how your dad doing? He had passed then or whatever, this and that. But it was like, that was pretty cool. He remembered stories about it or whatever, this and that. And like I said, B.B. King, every year used to send him a Christmas card.
That's
every
incredible.
Year. Yeah.
So he was known and respected.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
how old was he when he passed?
I want to say about 62, 63.
Hey, you're not 600 or 700 pounds.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And how old were you?
When he passed, I think he passed in 92 or 93. I had just bought my I had started my company. I had just bought my first brand new tow truck. So we subtract 90 some 30 years ago now, maybe. So I was about 33, 34, somewhere in that area to do the math. Yeah. So I was well on my way then, and everybody, my sisters, all of them always said, "Man, Dad, if Dad could see you now, he'll be so proud of you, so proud." And that, that makes you feel good. You know what I'm saying? That makes you feel good. That he had 3 or 4 or 5 trucks. You know what I'm saying? I had 25. You know what I'm saying? So it's like still living his legacy. But trying to expand it.
Well, a good teacher always wants the student to surpass them, and I'm sure he loved watching you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So that's
a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
But he was something else.
Yeah, he was a good man, and he knew Harold and Dad, Jenkins Landscape, all them guys, and Buster Rude, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I was kind of young coming back up, this old man out on the corner. I don't call him old man, Mr. Carpenter. You remember?
J.B. Carpenter.
Yeah, J.B. Carpenter. Yep. I used to he used to let me ride with him. I was one of them kids that I was just so respectful and wanted to do it. And I come to work with my dad, and he say, Joe, let him ride with me today. I just sit there and ride with him or whatever, this and that. And I always say yes, sir, no, sir. I do that to this day. And people are like, you ain't got to say that. I'm like, hey, look, that's just out of respect. You know what I'm saying? Let me say yes, sir, to you, no, sir, to you, or whatever, this and that. Even though you could be younger than me, you could be whatever, I still, to this day, yes, sir, no, sir, whatever, this and that, try to play respect. A lot of people say, you been in the military? I like, they be like, because the shape you in, and you so respectful. I like, no, I never go to the military.
Just the way you were raised. That same. Yeah. And it's not funny, but it's funny now. Sometimes I'll be someplace and I'll say, "Oh, thank you, ma'am." Mm-hmm. Don't call me ma'am. It's like, it's a sign of respect.
Let me tell you, the first time I ever encountered that, it was a lady officer, and my guy said ma'am to her. She called me on the phone, and she was like, "Don't have your driver. Do not." Like, yes, ma'am, whatever. So I never understood that. So to this day, like it's funny that you said that. So what's the problem with that? What do you? I mean, I'm not a ma'am.
Yeah, I've had it multiple times, and especially within the last few years.
Yeah, the only time
it's like I don't mean any disrespect. Yeah. It was drilled. First of all, at home it was drilled into me, and then in the military it was drilled into me. Yeah. And I'm gonna meet you. I'm gonna say yes or no, sir. And it's a sign of respect.
I thought it was, to this day, I can't see how, somebody calling you yes sir or no ma'am, that's disrespectful. But she was actually pretty upset.
I took her time to call and let you know that.
And I told my driver, hey man, don't say that to her no more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know, what was the disrespect about it, but hey, just don't do it no more. You know what I mean?
It's a different world than being 19 years old, getting out of high school and starting your own business.
Yeah.
Although I know some of you are out there doing that. So, So it makes you one of the few, which is awesome.
Yeah. And, I mean, I tell a lot of my buddies, they, just like you said, they ask me like, what is your secret to success? Or what do you, I was like, there's no secret. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just get up, bust your butt every day, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and whatever, you can't just, throw your money away, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you make $1, plan on keeping at least 70 cents of it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, 30 cents is yours. They be like, huh? I think, because that company going to come back and they're going to need 70 to 80% of that, and as long as you know that, you could be successful. But I've seen a lot of people take that dollar and then go splurge it like that. That's all of theirs. Then something happens, you have a flat tire, you have this, and they're like, oh man, I told you, 70 cents, 75 could be, that company gonna require it. So, make sure you put that back, and you can go then. But, a lot of people don't, they think they can reinvent the wheel or think they can do it some kind of way differently. But if you listen, all the, Steve Jobs, I can say Elon Musk, the guy that, one of them guys, but everybody, I mean, every book you read, everything you do, it says, work hard. And after I got in my latter years, one of the best things that I did was I didn't read the book, but I listened to the audio all the way through of Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, that's a great one.
I listened to that, and that was a game changer for me, because I never forget, there's a story where a guy owed me some money, and I called him and asked him about, say, hey man, you gonna pay me? He's like, oh my God, I ain't pay, So I'm one of them guys that, I'd be like, well you ain't paid me or blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about it. I was like, I kicked in the Think and Grow Rich. I was like, well, let me check and see or whatever, this and that, And he said, let me check too or whatever. And he was very respectful. And he called me back. You know what? The girl hadn't mailed the check out. I'll meet you and give it to you. And and I kept working for him. But I was going to tell him something. I was going to tell him a piece of my, I probably would never work for him again.
Right.
But that Think and Grow Rich kicked in, and I used that. Being very nice to him and being very humble, and saying me try to not be arrogant, not be whatever, and that has helped me tremendously in life, tremendously.
And one of the things you said earlier was, the power behind words.
Yeah.
And what you put out there, you have to be careful because that's what the universe thinks that you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you think that the world is full of brutal, nasty people, they're going to line them up at your door, at your work, in your life, when you're driving in the grocery store. And if you go out there thinking that the world is full of good human beings that are just trying to make it through and do a good job. And that's what you find, right?
That's what you find.
It's 87% of our self-speak is negative. All those so many people go through life. Oh, you idiot! How could you do that? They didn't start that program. That's stuff they heard growing up, and it's getting to that point where you have such a positive attitude about who you are and what you're capable of figuring it out. Right. And that's for me, that's the secret sauce.
I was telling one of my drivers, excuse me, cut y'all. I was telling one of my drivers last night, matter of fact, he was talking about, man, it's slow and it's so hard and so tough. I said, you know what? I said, let me tell you something. Stop saying that. You know what I'm saying? I say, because, you just bring yourself down or whatever, this and that. It's going to be what it's going to be. It has ups and downs or whatever, this and that, but you just worrying yourself to death trying to hide what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I say, to this day on, do me a favor. Don't even say that no more. Just think positive and just think whatever, this and that. And, he said, he promised me that he would do that. And that's a lot of times what I do. I don't sit there and dwell on like, the sky's falling. Well, guess what? You know what I mean? And I'm a decision maker. I'm one of them guys like, if I'm standing here and the world is cracking, I'm not going to sit there and do the split with the world. I'm going to figure out which side I'm going to jump on, and I'm riding that to the end.
But that's the problem. There's only about 4% of the world that I tell people like 85% of the world or 5% of the world watch what happens. 5% of the world make things happen. And 90% of the world wonder what the heck happened, right? They're just sitting there watching it. And you're making a decision. Yeah. And you're not always right, are you?
No.
But you can live with that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. People are so afraid of failure that they never take that chance. Yeah. They stand there and watch that crack go till they fall into it. Yeah. They never pick a side. They never make the jump or the leap of faith. Yeah. And you have over and over again.
Oh, yeah. And I can say, you look at it, I'm like Vegas, you know what I'm saying? Bet on black, baby. Always bet on black.
There you go.
That's right. Always bet on black. It ain't going to win all the time, but, the average time, hey. And a guy told me something one time, and I was amazing. He's like, you know what? When you go to Vegas always bet you don't do it. That's their thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I saw that, I was like, wow, they've made millions of dollars on you ain't gonna make that point, or you don't do it, or whatever, this and that, So that's another thing that I kind of, base things on too, And I, like I say, most people that you see that know me, if you find somebody that say they don't like me, they don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? I'm that guy, I get your shirt off my back. You know what I'm saying? I loaned so much money and never got it back. You know what I'm saying? And I just like, hey, don't worry about it. Because you lose friends over it. But now my new saying is, and my guys all don't know this now. Let me see. You want $1,000? If I loan you that $1,000 and you don't pay me back, we're not gonna be friends anymore. But we're gonna fall out. But if I don't loan you that $1,000, we're still gonna fall out. But I got my $1,000. Oh, now that's the way I do things now. Like, you know what? If you're gonna fall out, I'm gonna fall out with my $1,000 in my pocket.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom there.
Hey, and that's how I live now. You know what I'm saying? I live with, if I feel you ain't gonna pay me back, I'll take the upset because you're gonna get my $1,000 and still ain't gonna speak to me, ain't gonna pay me back.
Right.
So I might as well fall out with you with my $1,000 in my pocket.
I had when I was a young man, probably probably my first business. And I had a very close friend, and he came to me and he told me, a sob story and where he was at. He really needed $500, which was a lot of money to me. And I said, well, I got it to myself. So I'll give it to him, and, he's going to pay me back. So I gave him the $500, and I don't think he ever spoke to me again.
Yeah.
And I had a mentor, and at the time I was a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, fiery. Yeah.
Right. And so I wanted to go and choke him out.
Yeah.
And my mentor said to me, you got off cheap.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it only cost you $500 to find out he was never really your friend.
That's right.
And I was able to sit with that. I was okay with that,
Yeah.
But I'm going to take your new thing. But I still have my $1,000.
I still got my $1,000. We ain't gonna be friends, but hey, we're not friends with my $1,000 in my pocket rather than giving it out. But to say that you say you was fiery, oh my God, I was bad. I used to throw hammers at my employees. I did not play. I was one of them guys that I never came to blows with nobody, you know what I'm saying? But I never fired nobody. I was one of them guys that, I wasn't a guy like, oh, you fired. I was just, we can work it out. You know what I'm saying? That kind of guy,
So long as you didn't hit him with the hammer.
Wow. The only thing stopped me from hitting him that time, he fell asleep. He was on a job. He fell asleep with his head on the steering wheel. And I looked up there, I took that hammer and threw it, and thank God I didn't hit him. You know what I'm saying? It hit the steering wheel and bounced away from it.
Wow.
And I thought about it later. I was like, you could have.
You could have killed him?
Yeah. And to this day, me and that guy still friends. He's like, man, you done changed a lot. I'm like, yeah.
But when you get in the toolbox, he starts running.
Oh man, I was a guy that, and all my employees to tell you, they like, man, that guy crazy, man. And that was just I was just hot headed.
And there's something about passion, and I don't know for you, I can't speak for you, but for me, I think everyone is like me, and everyone has that same passion.
Right.
But like you said, you were ready to go, and not everybody's ready to go. And sometimes it's hard to understand, and because of that passion, it comes out like fire.
Yeah. If I would work with corporate America, I've been fired. HR would have fired me the same day. You know what I'm saying? They probably said, you came with a good resume. If you turn things around, you make money, you kick butt. But you're not gonna. Oh, I got another good story that I had when I was running my company. You're supposed to work somebody so many hours a week, 40 hours a week, and they pay them overtime. Well, in the towing, that was never the thing. You work 24 hours. And a guy went to the state and went on me, said, hey, look, y'all work more hours and he didn't pay me or whatever, this and that. Yeah. So the state called me up, and the guy came to the office, and when he came, I left. You know what I'm saying? I was like, call me, you know what I'm saying? He tell me what's going on. Well, he was like, well, we got this employee of yours that say you owed him some money for, overtime, and, you didn't pay him or whatever. I was like, okay. Well, yeah. He said, well, before I close the case, he said, I got to go and check with all your employees and find out, if they want their money. So he called me back, I don't know, a week or two later. He said, I want to meet you. What you want to meet me for? He said, I call everybody that worked for you. He said, I did the math. He said, you owed like $150,000 over, overpay. And I said, if I owe $150,000, I'm going out of business today. He said, no. He said, every one of those guys told me, say, that guy don't owe me a dime. The only person I paid was $400 to the guy that initiated the
There you go.
Yeah, and that guy, and I went to the office, I met him then, you know what I mean? But he just wanted to shake my hand. He said, I couldn't believe, you owe somebody $150, because most people want their money, he owe, they was like, that guy don't owe me a dime, you know what I'm saying? He took care of us like family, you know what I'm saying? He always whatever, this and that, and he don't owe me a dime, So that was pretty impressive too,
It means that you did the right thing.
Yeah, and that's what I try to do all my life, and I was one of them guys that anything I ask my employee to do, I do. I don't care about whatever. A couple of times, you find somebody that's less fortunate, and you're supposed to do all kind of things to put drain fields in and septic tanks or whatever, and you got companies that want to charge $9,000, $10,000, and I used to say, whatever. I say I take care of it on the weekend. I put your drain field in for the weekend, So I go out there and I do it for $2,500, $3,000, and it's still good. Well, my guys be out there, they like, ooh, I smell this smell. I say it smell like money to me, and they like, man, yeah. I smell money. Y'all smell manure, whatever's in that. I smell money.
The work is dirty, but the money's clean.
Yeah,
there you go.
And I be right down in that hole, put some gloves on, and get it done. They like, man, you just, your worth and I say, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not gonna ask you to do one thing that I wouldn't do myself.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the mark of a true leader.
Yeah. And I'd be right out there with my employees to this day. You know, I mean, I can't work a shovel no more, you know what I'm saying, because of the back. But other than that, you know, I jump on the Bobcat, I jump on a mini excavator, do so, you know, and I enjoy it, you know. I really do.
No, that's good stuff. When my dad was working for Teledyne all those years, he used to say to him, the boss had come in, one of the big guys from California would come in, and my dad they'd say, "How you doing?" He says, "I love this so much, I would do it for free." And one of his bosses finally said, "You should probably stop saying that. We are a publicly traded corporation."
Oh, yeah. I tell every one of my employees that I hire now, but I've been doing this about 15 years. I say, look, after I hire you, I say, just I'm going to let you know this. I say, everybody here can make you quit, but it's only one person can fire you. That's
very
me.
good.
Yeah. So, you know, you go out there and you get into it, whatever, they can't fire you. You know what I'm saying? Me, you know, whatever, this and that. But I'm the only person on this job that can fire you. You know, you get somebody, oh, I'm mad, I'm going to quit. I say, hey, you know, now you know what you're doing now. You quitting, you know, or whatever, this and that. But, you know, because you didn't get along with that person. But, you know, only one person can, you know, actually say you're fired. I don't care about no foreman. I don't care about no whoever, you know, nobody can fire you but me. And I stood on that, you know.
And hopefully you don't share with them the other part that you've never actually fired.
Yeah,
anyone. that would take the teeth out of that.
Yeah, most of them know that. You know, I'm just one of them guys that, you know, I mean, I'm gonna try to tell you to do things the right way or whatever. And most people that left me, they was, you know, trying to elevate. You know what I'm saying? Me, or
which you can't resent them for it.
Start their own thing, you know, or whatever, this and that, or moved out of town or whatever. But all my guys that moved out of town and they come back, the first thing they do is find me. You know, guys went to Kentucky, went to Tennessee, whatever. First thing they do when they come back, they call my phone. I had this phone up for like 25 years. They're like, man, you still got the same number? You know, let me take you to lunch, you know, And I take out time, and I've been in their weddings, you know all their kids and different stuff like that, you know. I was president of Pop Warner football out here for 5 years, so I used to go into scooters, and you would think like, you know, people be like, who is that guy? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like
visiting like dignitary.
Jesus, yeah, you know, and all the kids know me or whatever, this and that. And you know, I had some stories of that when I used to coach baseball and football. A lot of those kids that, you know, my kid be the only black kid on there, and I'm the coach, and all the rest of them, the white kids, not 10, 15. I used to always take them down the third base line. You know, if you ever played baseball. Matter of fact, I coached a couple of Harry kids. Yeah. Yeah, umpire, different things like that anyway. And I tell his daughter, I'd never forget, I say, look, she had a great swing, but she always swung late. Ball come, pop, she swing. You know, the ball, pop, swing. I say, look, I'll tell you what I'm going to start doing. And I shouldn't have done this. I said, when I say swing the bat. You know what I'm saying? Like swing. You know what I'm saying? Because she had a great swing, but she just always was late. You know what I'm saying? I guess out of fear. And, you know, I'll be back there, swing. Then she started hitting the ball. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it wasn't the right thing to do.
I don't think that's bad. That's coaching.
Yeah,
that's coaching.
I was the umpire, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was umpiring the game, but I was like, you know, I mean, because, you know, she played, but she was just like, just always swing late. But I'm talking about a beautiful swing, whatever, this and that. Played with the boys, you know, so, but, yeah, I used to, you know, just tell her, you know, swing. Oh, my God. Just get it, you know, right when it's time to go or whatever. But, you know, I mean, these kids can tell you great stories about me being a coach. Oh, I know what I'm saying. I just take them down the third base line because the parents be right there around the dugout. We walk down the third base line, the whole team. And we walk down there, I look around, and they know what's coming. What the hell are y'all out there doing? You know what I mean? I'm talking about, and you know those kids never told their parents. I know one time I was in school, I was telling a lady about it. She was like, they never told us that or whatever. You know, back then you could kind of do kind of stuff like that, but now, you know, that's not, but you know, I mean, I used to get into them and tell them like, look, do you want to win or you want to, you know, now they got participation trophies. They didn't have that back then, you know. So I was one of them guys like, look, I don't know about y'all. I ain't going to cheat. I ain't going to do nothing underhanded, but I want to win. You know, and I like to win. You know, winning is good. You know, and I remember one year we went undefeated out there, and the president of the league, you know, he came to me at almost by the end of the year. He said, "Look, all the parents are complaining." I said, "Why?" The first year I was out there, I got my butt whooped. You know, now you build your team, you get the quarterback, and we was undefeated. And he was like, all the parents like, they say you're not losing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Right here, you know, Hobe Sound, I was like, are you kidding me? I said, yeah. So it was like, you know, and we actually, I walked back to the dugout, brought my kids in. I said, hey, look, they complaining about us winning. You know what I'm saying? I say, what do you guys want to do? Every single one of them say, win. All right, let's go. And, hey, but crazy part of it is next year I didn't get a team.
Oh,
Yeah, they didn't give me a team the next year. I was like, hey, I'm cool with that. After that year, then everybody was like, whoa, wait. But they brought me back, you know what I'm saying? But, it was like, hey, man, I ain't gonna cheat. I ain't gonna do nothing underhandedly. I ain't gonna whatever this and that. But
I want to win.
Yeah, people come in the Hobe Sound and beat us and laugh at us, North County and all the kind of and I wanted to bring some respect to the league, and they when them coaches come there, they know they're gonna be a good game or whatever this and that, and I live by that, I live by that, like I say, we ain't gonna cheat, we ain't gonna do nothing underhandedly or whatever this and that, we going out the window.
That's funny. It's parents of kids in sports are a different breed.
Oh, yeah.
I remember 100 years ago when my daughter was in 5th grade, she came home and she said, we're not going to have softball this year because there's not enough coaches. And I had a real estate company and a flooring company at the time. And I looked at her and I said, you know what, I'll come and be coach. I don't know anything about baseball. I've never played. They put me out into the slowest part of the field, left field, wherever the balls don't go. Yeah. In my ADHD, I'd be daydreaming. All of a sudden, I'd hear everybody yelling. I'm like, what are they yelling about? The ball had dropped right next to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went and all of the parents, they had picks for all the kids. And all of these young girls that weren't picked. And they said, well, that's your team.
Right.
And I said, okay, so you all know all these girls and you all pick the best girls. I said, I'll take this team, but I want it clear from 5th till 8th grade. These are my girls.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, absolutely. They couldn't wait to sign
yeah.
up. By 7th grade, they won the championship.
Yeah.
Going into the 8th grade year, we show up, all of the same parents and coaches. This is unfair. You have a stacked team.
Yeah, so
I put my hands up. I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I said, these were the girls doing cartwheels and catching butterflies and picking flowers, and you all didn't want them.
Didn't want them.
And 8th grade, they went undefeated all the way through the season. Yeah. So you just, it's what you put it. It's like life.
Yeah.
What did Grandma Moses say? Life, it always was, it's always been the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I was one of them guys. I played baseball. I heard Harold say, Mr. Novak, he used to work right here. I don't think it was Barnett Bank. I think it was Hobe Sound National.
Hobe Sound National Bank.
Yeah, his name was no. He used to be my coach. And I never forget one time I was one of them guys that they give you the bunt sign or whatever. I didn't know what them signs was. You know what I'm saying? They gave me the bunt sign. I hit a home run. And I come back in. He's like, "You didn't see the sign?" I'm like, I don't know what you're doing.
Sorry, do you want me to take that one back?
Doing your hat like that, all that. Hey man, I'm gonna hit the ball. And that's what I did. I just hit. I was home run king, 15, 20 home runs a game, hit it in the fire station. I'm talking about I used to jack it, and everybody know I was playing in a little Pee Wee Pop Warner, they called it something different then, and they used to intentionally walk me. You know what I'm saying? Like coach like, oh yeah. I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying?
You hit it in the
fire station,
the snack bar.
Yeah, in the snack bar too.
You hit it right in the snack bar window.
Yeah, I used to hit that ball so far, man, and. But like I said, I had big forearms, and I was always athletic, and one of my scholarships was a baseball scholarship, but I was like, no, thank you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think you've been damaged by it.
Yeah, I was ready. But you know what? All my buddies that went to college, went to the Army, whatever, they somewhere with a job, and all of them come back, or they call me up, to borrow money or whatever this and that. But, like I tell people, I was voted most likely not to succeed. You know what I'm saying? Everybody voted most likely to succeed. I was voted most likely not to succeed. But, everybody knew that I was gonna be a hard worker, And I used to tell my kids this. Every sport I ever played, I was always the team captain. But I never went to the coach and said, "Coach, can I be the team captain?" They pick you. You know what I'm saying? You go out there and you do what you do, and the coach say, "That's the team captain." So I tell kids to this day, by how you perform or how you do or whatever this and that, that's how you become the team captain, become a leader or whatever this and that. By you doing what you do. You don't go out there and hey, can I be the team captain? And can I be the whatever this and that? Or can I be the quarterback or whatever? Prove it. Show that way you can be and what you can do and go out there and do it. So I've done that as far as I can remember all my life.
You're still doing it.
Still doing it.
Lead by example and lead from the front.
Yeah.
But do you think that when you had so many athletic people that you grew up with?
Oh my God!
Do you think some of that pushed them? Pushed you? I'm just saying, you know what, the Prestons, the Queens.
That's right. And all those boys, I was young. All those boys older than me. I mean, I was probably 14, 15. They was 18 years old. And they used to pick me. I'm talking about because I was just that fiery guy. You know, all of them used to pick me or whatever to play with them or whatever. And back in the days that, I remember we used to leave the house 8 o'clock in the morning and right there at Barron Lake at the basketball court. And we stayed down there all day long, playing, run up and down that court all day long. Now, you don't see kids nowhere,
No.
you know what I'm saying?
Nope.
And that was made us real competitive and real good back then. And I was picked with the older boys, you know, always was. And, you know, they knew that, you know, I was gonna be fiery. You know, you wasn't gonna bully me, you know. And I was one of them guys that, you know, when you go in the bathroom, you know, you see the black boys try to, you know, to the white kids, I'd be like, hey, look, leave that boy alone. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a damn. You know, I ain't played. And everybody tell you, you know, I'm not prejudiced. I ain't got no more in my body. But you are not going to take advantage of somebody, you know, like because they scared or try to be, take his lunch money and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to do it around me, you know. And I live by that. You're not going to do it around me at all, you know. And, you know, to this day, I live by that, you know. I see homeless people, you know, I turn around and go to my wife and be like, why you? I say, hey, look. Let me do this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, pull up there, give them a 20 or give them a 10, you know. And a lot of people think like, you know, oh, I do that, I'm going to get my blessings back. I don't do it to get blessings back. I do it because I have it and I know they need it. And, you know, you give it to them to move on or whatever. And, you know, just try to, you know, just help other people, you know. That's one of my biggest things, you know. Harry and them came to me, I don't know, how long I've been Santa Claus now? About 12, 15 years, somewhere in that area, whatever, you know.
Yeah, well, since Jonelle quit.
Yeah, and they came to me and I was like, Santa Claus. I'm a player. Hey, Santa Claus ain't no Santa Claus ain't no player. You know what I mean? But I was like, you know what? I'll try it. And ever since then, I love it. You know, I enjoy it. The kids come up. You know, they're like, you know, they look at me. I like, you know, I know they nasty. You know who I am? They like, no. I said, I'm Mr. Bo Diddley. And they'll go, oh, that's Papa. That's so and so and so. But, you know, they really don't know who I am, you know.
That's great.
But now, you know, and they come up now, I know you, Mr. Bo Diddley, or whatever, this and that. And to see them around town, you know, they you know, you just can't beat it, you know.
No.
And every kid, young kid, the young kid, they come up to me to this day, you know, and that's pretty cool when you can command, you know, a respect from, you know, 6, 7, 8 years old and all the way up to 25, 30-year-old kids, you know, they come to this day and come out of respect, you know. So.
And it's funny, people don't realize, but that one kind word or the one thing that you may give to a kid that you don't even remember,
right.
You don't. It happened in passing, and they'll come back years later. They'll run into you and say, "Hey, when you told me, you know, I had a kid confront me and say, when you gave me that talk, it changed my life." Mm-hmm. And I was like. The whole time they were talking, I'm like, please, God, don't have them ask me what talk I gave because I had no recollection.
I had a kid, me and him to this day, he got a landscape company. He called me Pops, a white kid. His name Donnie Silvers. And he was a bad little kid. When I tell you bad, he was ADHD, whatever you call that. He was the worst. And I took him on my team, you know, whatever. And I had a coach that used to get into it with him. So I come to the game kind of late because I was working. And she always say, you know, if Coach Aaron on the phone, bunt. I'd be on third base on the phone. Aaron's throwing, you know what I'm saying? I mean, dispatching the call, trying to whatever this and that. So I come in the dugout, he's crying. I'm like, yeah, Donnie crying for? You know what I'm saying? He like, you know, Coach said something to me, whatever, this and that. So I walked him down third base line. I gave him the talk of his life. And I gave him a $50 bill, too. You know what I'm saying? I was like, don't tell your parents over. And to this day, that kid called me Dad. He's a local kid named Donnie Severs. To this day, he said, I changed his life. He brought all his kids to introduce him to me and all that. He said, you see that man right there? That man changed my life and let me know that, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, it's on you. You know what I'm saying? And those are the kind of stories that, you know, I'm kind of proud of, you know. I would love to, whenever it happens, you know what I'm saying? I would love to be able to be the flower on the wall at my funeral. You know what I'm saying? Because there's gonna be so many stories for people to tell, kids to tell, or whatever, this and that, you know. And you know, they all gonna be. I'll be proud of pretty much all of them. You know, I walk around town with my head up. You know, like I say, you know, I had a crazy divorce, but guess what? You know, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't ashamed of it. You know, everybody be like, you know, oh, your divorce was hard. You know, it wasn't to me. You know, I lived in an RV, a 40-foot diesel pusher for 6 years, and I had a great time. You know what I'm saying? I was able to wake up, do what I want to do, you know, clean up when I want to, or do, you know, and that was pretty cool to me, you know.
And one thing that I've learned is when you're going through life, anyone who stood for anything, you're going to have some haters out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and you know that.
Yes, sir.
Haters. Yeah. So they're going to tell you all the bad stuff, but, it's like, you know what? Hey, let's put some good stuff in there, too.
Well, you said it earlier. If they're talking it, they don't know you.
Yeah.
Get to know me and then decide.
That's right.
Good for you,
That's
Aaron.
right.
Another thing is that diesel pusher. It always used to take all the kids down to the Dolphin game and everything else. And also, every year he takes on.
I used to load up the bus, and take them down to the
20
Dolphin
kids.
game. Give them the experience of tailgating, and, with RV,
Breakfast,
barbecuing, whatever.
breakfast.
I used to always bring him to Harry. Yeah. And, I was going to pay, but then Harry saw what I was doing. He was like, there's no way I'm going to take your money, So the kids come here on Sunday morning, Dolphin game, and they Hobe Sound native, helping native, they feed the kids, give them shirts and gave them the football, whatever, and we just go down and have a great time.
That's awesome.
A great time, And like I said, everybody like, how you find time to do it? Well, you make time. Yeah. You can make time. You make time for other stuff, so you can make time.
Well, that's to make a difference.
Yeah.
So you make a difference with all those kids.
And all those kids down to this day, they still remember that, that's first, and they probably, I ain't gonna say they probably never can have it done again, but some of them, it'd be pretty tough for them to get it done again, and all of them remember it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing of being a part of. I got probably 3 or 4 people in my life that I always remember. There was a basketball coach named Coach Moore. And I tell you, that man was crazy. He used to throw chairs on the floor. He was like Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight.
Oh my God, he was the worst, but he was my favorite coach. I don't care what nobody say. They're like, how you like? Hey man, he keep it real and tell you what he want to tell you or whatever, this and that. And one of the best coaches Martin County ever had. He was a JV coach. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, Bo, what the hell y'all there doing? You know what I'm saying? You supposed to take the ball up court. You go throw it to the center for you the point guard. And I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. So that kind of stuff. And when you think about it, you just. Yeah, I live by that. I was one of them coaches. I love those coaches that, that told you, got in your face and, and made you do what you're supposed to do, That coach that sat there and tell me like, oh, it's going to be all right, Johnny. It ain't going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? It's, when you leave home, like kids, when they leave home, you prepare them for when they leave, because that world out there is
they're not going to cut them any slack.
They're not going to cut them no slack. That's right. So just be honest and be fair, and people will judge you, and they'll look at your character, and they'll if they say pick a side, they'll pick a side, and they'll stay on it,
And always was in the battle for the state championship. Always. You probably went 27-4 or something. What was the record you had for Martin County?
Well, when I was on a JV when Martin County won state. I was a 10th grade, and I was supposed to get moved up, but me and the head coach didn't get along so good.
Coach Wallen.
Don Wallen.
Wallen.
But the next 2 years I started for him, you know what I'm saying? And he always had a problem because I was one of them kids that I was a team captain, and I kind of like all the kids, I ran the team, and he would call out there and tell me a play. And I'd be like, Coach, that play ain't finna work. You know what I'm saying? They doing something different. But, he was like, well, you run the play I call. So, I did that, something happened, whatever, this and that, and to be like, oh, well, so he'll call the play, I'll change it. And then, we'll score, we'll win or whatever, this and that. And then, he'd be like, well, you did that and we won, but don't do that again. You know what I'm saying? I was like, Coach, I see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
You're out there. You're in the trenches.
Yeah, you can't come up court and say, okay, we finna call this play. Because we had man-to-man and we had zone. You know what I'm saying? I saw what they was playing coming up or whatever. If a guy followed me all the way up court, they had man-to-man. They running around or whatever this and that. And you just call a zone play that everybody going to be in their position. No, that's not the play right now, But he was one of them guys that, and he was a great coach. He was I think he's still the winningest coach in Florida.
Really?
Don Wallen. He was a great coach. And I was just one of them kids that, though, if he called one play, I'll change it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm out there. But I always started. You know what I'm saying? I tell my kids I played from whistle to whistle. Never came out the game. Never. I'm talking about up and down, just whistle to whistle. And now, that's how you got to be. You got to be fiery. You got to go at it, and you got to live life like that. You really do. You got to bust your butt. You really got to bust your butt. Give it all you got. Leave everything on the field. That's in other words.
Yeah.
Now, do any of your kids have that same fire?
I got some couple of kids that's talented, but they don't have that same fire.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't have that
It's
same
hard to find it anymore.
They don't have that same fire.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people tell me I spoiled my kids, but this is what I tell them. None of my kids had a better life than me. None of them. I mean, I had a great life. Great. If I die today, anybody come cry for me, I'll wake up and tell you, what the hell you crying for?
Yep.
I had a great life. I ain't talking about good. I'm talking about great. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I don't believe that you can spoil somebody or whatever, this and that. People say that, and I guess you probably can, but I just be like, you know what? That's just them. You want to give them nice things. You want to give them the good part of life. You want to give them all this and that. And if they take that and be like, well, you spoil me, get the hell out of here. So I believe a lot of it's in you,
In you,
yeah, it's in you, and like I said, I got some great boys, they coming along, and but I just have a problem with where they at now. I started my business when I was 24 years old, never went out of business. I started in '89, never went under, never nothing, just been working from 1989 to the day, and a lot of them now they just they don't have that, but if they can get it. Then they could, be a little successful. But, and they sitting around, all of them sitting around waiting on me to die to see who's going to take over. But I told them, I was like, look, what if I live 20 more years? Y'all going to be 60, you know what I'm saying? Waiting on me, come on, let's go.
I think he's got a lot more than 20 years, kids. There's a lot of gas still in that tank.
Well, yeah, and I used to always say this right here, too. I used to always tell, it's funny. I used to say, hey, if I get 70, kill me. I tell my kids that. I should always I got 7 more years. But now that I'm 63,
a young 63.
Hey, I tell them, I say, check back with me at 70 now. But that's my thing, because we used to always see my dad died at 60-something. You never heard these ages that we get into now. Back in the day, they was dying at, if a man got to be 60, 65, he was almost at the end of his life back in the day, and that was norm, So I felt like if I made 70, I don't know, just take me out when I get 70. And they laugh. And now I say, hey, check
back with me.
Check back with me now.
When my son was young, we did a lot of whitewater rafting, surfing, all kinds of adrenaline junkies. And we had a deal that if I was ever paralyzed, that he would come in and put a pillow over me or vice versa. Right. So we were going out to surf in a hurricane. I don't know, Daniel must have been about 16 years old, and it was big. It was big and brutal. And we're starting out into the water, and we're about knee deep. And he looks at me and goes, "Hey, Dad." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Listen, if I get caught up and it looks like I'm paralyzed, don't hold me under the water. Have a doctor confirm." I said, "Man, I'm a bad dad."
Yeah. Well, I got on my thing, I got a do not resuscitate. But my sister's a nurse, and I wouldn't let my wife be on my, the one. I wouldn't. That was a problem in the family. She's like, "Oh, you." I was like, "Look,
no, I just cut my finger."
So if my sister's a nurse, I like she can make a medical decision. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody coming in there and mad at you, whatever this and that. And it's like, you know what? Pull the plug. Oh my God. So, but it's it's been a great ride, you know what I'm saying? No regrets, none. Not one thing, you know what I'm saying? And if I can do it all over again, I'll probably do it the same way.
So what would you impart or depart? What would you like to leave with the listeners? What important lesson that you've learned in life? What's the secret, if you could sum it up?
Well, my main thing is, don't carry nothing. You know what I'm saying? There's no man out there trying to hold you down. If you work hard, anybody give you a chance. If you do a good job, people will give you a chance again. I don't have business cards. I don't carry business. Can I get a business card? I don't have one. You know what I'm saying? Most of my work is referral, and I've been working for guys for 10, 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of guys that bounce all over town or whatever, I just work for the same guys every day. And Give 110%. I tell my boys this right here. I say, when you get ready to leave the job and you walk out to the front of the job and you turn around and you look, ask yourself, would you pay for that? And if you sit there and you look at that job and you say, I'll pay for that, then you probably did a good job. But if you look back and you say, I don't like that, I don't like that, that's about how the customer going to be. You know what I'm saying? So that's my motto. Would you pay for that?
I like it.
Yeah. And if you say, yeah, I'll pay for that, then you probably did a good job.
But a lot of your customers are your friends too.
Yeah.
So that says, I mean, when they call you after hours, I mean, that says a lot.
A lot of my contractors too, what I do is I go to the owner. A lot of companies have supervisors or foremen and stuff like that, and the guys, they go through. No, because the owner, just like I say, everybody can make you quit, but only one person can fire you. So that owner can fire you. You know what I'm saying? Like Metz Construction and Sands and all those guys like that. You'll get somebody that get mad at you, and they got a buddy that just bought a Bobcat or bought a, you know what I'm saying? They can try to work them in. They're like, no. Aaron's our man, and that's who's going to do the work. Okay, he messed up this time, but guess what? Something happened or whatever. Whatever.
It's construction. It's going to happen.
Exactly. So and I take it personal to lose an account. I take it personal. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I go in. I be like, hey, look, what happened? I never forget. I used to have a Nissan dealer. I had that contract with a Nissan dealer. I stopped by there and I courted the guy for I don't know, a couple of weeks or so. Stop by and bring the company pizza and do all that there, and then I left, and he got to go around. So one of my guys called me and said, hey, man, we don't tow for Nissan no more. I said, well, what? We had about 6 months. They said, yeah, I saw another company there. So I was like, let me go up here and check. You know what I'm saying? And I went up there, and he was like, well, you stopped coming around. I was like, I mean, we still do the same. Don't we give you good service, good price? He said, yeah. But I personally stopped coming around and BSing with him or whatever, this and that. I don't know. You guys probably old enough to remember this. He don't remember this. He used to be an airplane commercial. And the guy gave everybody a ticket to go and talk to people or whatever, this and that. And he had a ticket in his hand. And they was like, boss, where you going? He said, I'm going to that old friend. You know what I'm saying? And go back and revisit
I remember
him.
that.
Yeah, that was I don't know what the name of the company was at that time, but it was an airline commercial. And he was like, giving everybody tickets to go out and fly out and go talk to the customers and get it around. And he said, that old friend that dropped us, he said he's flying out to see that old friend. You know what I'm saying? And I remember that. You know what I'm saying? I always, send out Christmas cards and call guys up and, and see them on the job and, talk about their family, shake their hand and just be their friend,
It does. It makes a difference. People will call our company and they're like, oh, I want Bob to come out and give me my estimate. So I'll call him up.
Yeah.
And I say, the last thing you want is Bob to come out and give you your estimate. I'll come out, we'll talk for 3 hours, but you're probably never going to get your estimate.
Yeah.
However, I'll come out and talk with you, and one of my sales consultants will come out and they'll give you an estimate, but they want that touch because they know it's you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they gave you a check.
That's right.
And they want to know that you're there and that you care.
I answer my phone still 24 hours a day. Some people like, man, I'm sorry to bother you. That's what I do, man. You know what I'm saying? You can call me. I don't care what, you know what I'm saying? I've walked out on Christmas dinners. I walked out on Thanksgiving dinner. Somebody broke down. It's like, where you going?
Coming to get you.
No, hey, money call. You know what I'm saying? Because I know. Remember, I said this now. If I ain't got no money, you gonna leave me sooner or later anyway. So I tell all my friends, I tell all my sons, I say, keep you some money. You know what I'm saying? If you keep you some money, you got a chance. You know what I'm saying? Get broke, and then you'll find out.
Well, another thing about hiring employees. I used to hire employees in the old days, and I'd hire them, and I'd say, here's what it is. You'd like to sit home and me send you a check.
That's right.
I'd like you to come work 80 hours for nothing.
Yeah.
I said, let's meet in the middle. You show up for 40 and I'll pay you.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's
Good
right.
philosophy.
That's a great one.
That's right.
To balance.
Yeah.
No, because I mean, a lot of times they start just calling in sick shit.
Yeah.
You know what? You ain't worked 3 weeks. I tell you what, you're calling in sick. I want you to show up here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? I get guys back. I used to get guys. Oh, I work every day. I work 7 days a week. I'm sitting there listening to them. Like, they don't know this is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week company. And after about 2 weeks, they're like, man, can I get a couple days off? No,
I thought you.
You told me you needed money, you needed to work or whatever this and that. And I've always paid my employees more than other people. I've had companies call me up, Aaron, man, you running like right now, my average guy make $1,000 a week. I feel like, if you don't make $1,000 a week, you can't even really make a living, I mean, everything is high. My high guy, $1,500, $2,000 a week, and that come directly out of the company, But I just feel like, and then I know this, there's a lot of people that be jealous, and how long they gonna work for you? See you riding around in nice stuff and living in $5 and all this and that, and they, but if you paying them good, they're like, hey man, this man paying me good, so I'm getting, it's working both ways. So I try to make that not happen where somebody start getting envious of you and get jealous of you, and then they, they don't want to work for you, or they want to do something to bring you down. But I always try to pay, above the.
And the proof's in the pudding when they came after you and said $150,000, and every single one of those people said that man doesn't owe me anything.
That man don't owe me one dime.
Yeah, that's a good way to go, man. You put your head down on the pillow, you can sleep.
You can sleep. That's right. That's right. I don't know what bed I'm be in, but I can sleep. Oh my God. Yeah. But
well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap her up?
No, not too much, I mean, like I say, Harry knows me, everybody know me around town, I do what I say I'm gonna do. I show up when I say I'm gonna show up, you know what I'm saying, and we can have some fun, and sometimes I be the life of the party, sometimes I sit back and chill or whatever, this and that, but I'm probably one of the only guys that can be in Banner Lake and command respect, and be in across railroad track and get respect. You know what I'm saying? There's not many people that, in this town that could, jump back and forth. And I can. I can go over there to the chambers and go over there, have parties and everything, and you would think like, man, who this guy, And then when I go over in the hood, I'm the man over in the hood too.
Even on the island, though.
Yeah.
On the island, you know what you.
Yeah.
Cocktail parties and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. But that's to me, I feel like the world would be a better place if we could do it like that. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah, all that old prejudice and talking about the man trying to hold them down and slave reparation. If they do slave reparation, I'm telling you right now, I don't want a damn thing. Don't come give me nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad y'all came and got me. And I mean that. Some people somebody, oh my God, hey, they come to me and they say, hey, Mr. Dames, we found out where you're from. You're from Rwanda. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to give you and your family $10 million, but you got to go back to Rwanda. You keep that damn thing. I'm saying right here.
I'll keep my trucks.
That's right. I'm saying, and that's the God-having truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I get some of my friends to be, hey, man, I'm just telling you the truth. You know what I'm saying? I ain't cutting it short or whatever, this and that. And, I ain't had nothing to do with slavery. Y'all ain't had nothing to do with slavery. You know what I'm saying? I judge a man on how he treat me today.
A good man's a good man, and a bad man's a bad man.
A bad man is a bad man. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And, you just move on with life.
Well, Aron, it's been an incredible pleasure getting to know you and sharing some time.
Hey, Harry been asking me for a while, and I was like, you know what? I would love to do it.
It's great. You're super comfortable. You're really upbeat.
I did a couple podcasts, probably about 5 of them, when I was going through my divorce. And the girl, she used to get 500 views, 300 views, whatever. We did my divorce and my whatever, talk about it. She had over 15,000 reviews or whatever. She's like, oh my God, I never had that. You know what I mean?
All right, we're not going to talk about that.
No, I saved that for hood.
Well, if you're out there listening, we really want to hear your story, and the world out there needs to hear your story. There are people out there that really will grow from hearing your story. There's people out there that are going to identify with what Aron just shared, are going to be encouraged, and maybe take that chance and not stay while that crack swallows them up, and make a decision and jump and pick a side, one way or the other, right or wrong, and then you get to decide again tomorrow when the sun rises.
That's right.
So please reach out and contact us. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. And what do you got, Harry?
I got nothing.
All right.
Thank you, Aron.
So we will catch you next time. And again, thank you so much, Aron. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure being here.
Ivan's got the apron on, Harry's got his props. Ken is sticking out his tongue, just hope that hunter stops. Mom's singing acapella.
Hello, Harry MacArthur here. Thank you for listening. Please stop by to Harry and the Natives and say hello to us, and have breakfast, lunch, or dinner Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday morning, you can have breakfast till 1 o'clock, and then Sunday afternoon and Monday, you're not going to find us. I'll come find you. Thank you. Come to Harry and the Natives.
Hi, it's Bob with O'Donnell Impact Windows and Storm Protection, and I know the name is tricky. We do impact windows and storm protection. We live in Hurricane Central, and we will keep you safe from the weather. We'll keep you safe from any people that want to come and break into your house, and we'll keep you safe from Florida Electric by keeping your bills lower. So we do this for fun because we love it, and we want our community to know that there's a lot of good people out there, but we also need to support ourselves. So if you need anything, please give us a call. And please remember, at O'Donnell, it's our family protecting your family, and thanks for watching. We appreciate you.